You might be thinking that the console wars you see going on online right now have just gotten more and more toxic as the years have gone on. Well, you'd be wrong about that, because actually they've been this bad the whole time. Basically, since the internet has been a thing, people have been arguing what system is better online. So today, we're going to take a look at some ancient console war shitposts that people who made these probably aren't even alive anymore, and see what they were all about. First off, we've got SML108 here, posting on December 11th, 1989, so this is a few years into the original NES life cycle, a couple years out from the Super Nintendo. Let's see what he has to say. On the subject of choosing a video game, my 5 cents. Personally, I think the Nintendo is a piece of right-wing garbage akin to the IBM PC. Slow, out of date, but heavily marketed so that mindless tweenies will think it's the hottest thing since Zelda had her first period. I have yet to see a single game on the thing substantially better than the stuff I played on my old Atari 800 7 years ago. Yes, there are some nice games, but they do not do anything extraordinary, and in fact clearly show the glaring limitations of the thing's inferior pre-VLSI hardware. Wow, this this one is just a great way to start us off. I don't know what he means by the Nintendo being a piece of right-wing garbage. There's also the fact that this was written in 1989, which, to be honest, I did not know that the internet was around back then. Like, was he writing this from the lab of Harvard with a computer around him that's the size of a room with spinning wheels of tapes? That's what computers were invented for, to talk about Zelda's first period. Alright, now let's skip ahead a few years up to April 19th, 1993. Gee, I'm just sitting around thinking of more video game related goodies that used to be around but aren't anymore. Stuff that disappeared after the end of the golden age of video games. The Atari 2600 years, before Nintendo became a household word, before seal of approvals, before the collapse of the video game market, where gameplay meant a lot more than flashy graphics and sound. I don't know anyone who considers the golden age of video games to be the Atari 2600 years. If anything, the golden age would be the NES years, and then games that focus more on original gameplay instead of being yet another shooter or yet another beat up the ethnic minority title. Okay, so I'm dreaming. Wanting games with more original gameplay, I get, and that's still something that we could use more of today. I don't know what he's referring to, what the genre is of beat up the ethnic minority. There's beat 'em up titles, maybe something like River City Ransom or Streets of Rage, but I don't think they're based around beating up a specific ethnic minority. I think they were just about beating up people in general. Alright, now we've moved on to November 25th, 1995, where there's a pretty big discussion about the Nintendo 64 versus the PlayStation. First here we've got Brian, who says, "Poor Nintendo geeks sitting with a vaporware system while I play my PlayStation." But then we've got Mr. Eduardo Labidayo clapping back at him, saying, "Yeah, as you see the word loading constantly on the screen." Then Rand comes back at him saying, "You can't seriously want to rehash a cart versus CD-ROM discussion. I'd much rather have a now loading message and a game with over an hour of dialogue and half an hour of animation than a fast game with no speech and no animation." Clearly what he said struck a nerve with Mr. Cooper C here, who goes, "Shut the hell up, bunghole." Then Noah Cassis comes in and replies, "That was a great response. You're the most loyal person I have ever seen." Wow, basically calling him a Nintendo simp in 1995. "You go around each news group flaming people because they like a certain system. I see you at the Sega news group putting people down for their opinion, telling them the only thing to like is the Ultra 69. And then when someone says something bad about your system, all you can think to say is some moronic line from Beavis and Butthead. This is our news group, and we have the right to say any shit about your system that we want. Turn off your computer and play Kirby's Dream Land." Wow, Kirby's Dream Land is just catching strays. Next we hear from W.C. Lee saying, "If people are saying that their PSXs or Saturns are so great, why don't they spend more time playing it and not wasting their time posting useless information that are repeated throughout the internet? They are mostly rumors. Really, you must be sick of your 32-bit systems so much that you would rather post trash in the news groups. Pathetic. Use the news groups for useful information, not as a trash receptacle. You know, W.C. Lee, what he says here should still be repeated today. If you love your system so much more than every other console that's out there, spend time playing it. Don't spend time arguing about how great it is online. And finally, we've got Sean McBride here coming back to Brian's original post, which was poor Nintendo geek sitting with a Vaporware system while I play my PlayStation. And he comes in and says, it's okay. If you want to pay $400 for a system that will be as popular as the Lynx, go for it. Ooh, Sean, that did not age well. If you can go back and delete this somehow, I would do that. Moving on to the following year, we're here at March 26, 1996 with a hot post by the PSX priests. I guess you don't want to mess with those guys. They will play PlayStation, they will drown you in some holy water. They say, you no friendo mama's boys are all running around with your Whittle Mario Man jumping over angry mushrooms and turtles. We are racing cars and blowing up aliens while you are playing Tetris and wishing you had a next generation system and playing shitty 16-bit games thinking, okay, the graphics suck, but the gameplay is okay. Well, all us Sony religious zealots are playing Doom and Mortal Kombat 3 doing ultimate fatalities on your fat plumber asses. Maybe in 1997, your precious Whittle Ultra 64 will come out, but by then Sony will be in the second generation, and the upgrade and M2 will make Diaper 64 the babysitter's best friends for toddlers, while the men are racing and fighting with a real system. So go jump on some Puka's Pokies. And then it signed the PSX priests. You know, you see a lot of the same things being said against Nintendo games, even now, so, you know, I think they were a bit ahead of their time. Next up, we have a post from Jeff here on December 29th, 1996. Not so much console warring, but just lamenting the loss of good old character RPGs. So he says, where have all the CRPG gone? There's been such a dry spell of true RPG that I think I might as well force myself to enjoy other kinds of games. Flight sims, action, or the dreaded action adventure. Even though there have been many games lately that are touting RPG status, they are really nothing more than action adventure games. God, if that still is not true right now. How many games say they're RPGs? But you know, there's some other thing with just a few leveling up systems or a skill tree. Jeff was calling it way back in the 90s, so good on him. He also says, the biggest problem with RPG of today is the quests are way too linear and easy. For example, Daggerfall. Kill off this evil blank in dungeon blank. In Ultima, the quests were intertwined with many people and places who you had to find, /meet, /extract the info from to complete the quest. Made for a much more enjoyable journey. God, that is still very, very true now. And just for another nice dose of the 90s here at the bottom, he says that maybe he'll watch TV instead. He hears Melrose Place has a good episode on tonight. Next, we've moved on to September 15th, 1997, where Joe has to say, in response to all the Sony trolls who call the Nintendo 64 the Pretendo 69, I urge everyone who's sick of this to refer to the Sony PlayStation as the phony play shit station. Joe, I'm sure you were trying, but I don't think coming up with mean nicknames is really your talent. I'm sorry. But here we have a pretty smart response from Profit saying, so you think stooping to their level is the answer? If you see someone being an idiot online, don't stoop to their level. Just leave it alone. Move on. Go play the games that you claim to love, please. Now, here in October of 1997, we've got a post from Mr. John Holmes. I don't really have anything to add to this. I just hope that if he did get Final Fantasy VII, he didn't just explode when he saw Tifa, because it sounds like he was right on the verge of that. Moving to the end of 1997, we've got a post here from Mr. Mifflin Devon saying, ha ha ha, I feel so sorry for all of you gay station owning losers. Nintendo 64 is here and is kicking every other console in the ass. If you don't believe me, you're either this or that. I think you can figure out what those words are based on the first letter. Anyway, the PlayStation Nation is no more. Nintendo wins again. Mifflin Devon. I really like the thing people did in the 90s where they would sign their forum posts at the bottom with their name. I think that just makes everything a little bit more formal. Now, the nickname he chose for the PlayStation is interesting because you actually see here from 4 days before, he had this other post that he says he is interested in meeting gay or bisexual men in the New York area. If you're interested in meeting me or visiting various clubs in the Manhattan area with myself and others, email me. Thanks. Maybe there's a little bit of self-hatred going on there. I don't know. Now, the horniness that seemed to be the ever-present in 1997 clearly didn't stop, because here we have September 29th, 1998, we have Dark Fang here requesting some Mega Man Legends hentai. He seems to be doing it on the Final Fantasy board because it's RPG-like. Wow. And finally, we've moved on to January 17th, 1999, by a post by Mr. Max Squaresoft saying, "I'm sorry, but if you like Zelda 64, you're all a bunch of boring motherfuckers. Damn, I can't stand walking across a field for 30 minutes of pretty boring scenery and fighting easy monsters. The castles are boring as hell. Fighting in that game is boring. The characters in the game's ugly as hell. Wait, there's more. The music sucks compared to Squaresoft. I find Zelda on Super way better. It wasn't boring, at least. Zelda 64 can go suck a dick. If you're going to make a game with good graphics, make it with a lot of good gameplay." I agree there. Brave Fencer is at least better than Zelda 64. Please, I can piss on that game if someone got it for me. Clearly, this man was not pleased with the amount of critical acclaim that Ocarina of Time was getting. I do also prefer Link to the Past over it, so I agree with him on there. Probably we would not piss on it if someone got it for me. I would say thank you. Thank you for getting me this game. So next time you see someone on Twitter saying that the Switch is trash or the Xbox Series X has no games, just know that this kind of stuff, it's been going on forever. It's never going to stop. Console wars are eternal. As long as there will be consoles and the internet, there will be console wars. So you have to just accept it. Play the games instead of arguing online and enjoy them there.